What is going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law, and today we are talking the Indianapolis Colts 2021 offseason quarterback options. Now, obviously, the only quarterback we have currently under contract for the 2021 season is fourth-round pick, second-year quarterback Jacob Eason, who has yet to even take a snap in the NFL. Now, could Eason be a good quarterback in the future? Who knows? Could quite possibly be. I love Jacob Eason arm talent-wise. I thought he was the best arm talent in the draft last season, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's the guy we need to move forward with this season. He may need a year or two to sit back and relax. What's going on, Ant Rogers? Appreciate you being here on the stream. Now, so we're going to go over two different quarterbacks, all right, that the Colts have been linked to. Obviously, we're not going to go over Matt Stafford. He's done been traded. Jared Goff, done been traded. But the first guy I think I want to go over, quite frankly, and the reason why I've held off on going over quarterbacks so far this season was the NFL was still going, right? We still had the rest of the playoffs. I get that the Colts weren't in the playoffs anymore after the wild card game loss to the Buffalo Bills, but it was still going, and we didn't really get a good kind of feel completely for who was going to be out there on the market. We thought maybe Wentz might be. We thought maybe Darnold might be. We thought maybe Matt Ryan or Carr, Mariota, Fitzpatrick. There's a bunch of guys out there that could legitimately be out there, but right now there's two quarterbacks. Two that the Colts have been linked to hardcore. And the first one, of course, is Carson Wentz, that quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. And, you know, he lost his starting job to Jalen Hurts about midway through the season. Jalen kind of looks a little bit like Lamar Jackson out there, right? I mean, great running quarterback. When it comes to that style of offense, he's very efficient. He's able to move the football. Now, just like Lamar Jackson, injuries are a concern for him because of how much he runs the football. But that's not who we're talking about right now. We're talking about Carson Wentz, the guy just a couple years ago who led the team into the playoffs to end up winning the Super Bowl. Now we know Nick Foles did all that in the playoffs because Wentz got hurt, and that is a major question mark. Carson Wentz is a huge injury risk, and from what I'm understanding, the Eagles want a similar deal for Carson Wentz as what Matt Stafford was given. 2 first rounds and a player. Are you kidding me? Carson Wentz should be on the side of the Jared Goff side of that deal, not the Matthew Stafford side of that deal. That's just – Wentz had one good season. The rest of his career, he's been injured or played like crap. Now, that's not something that I really want to talk about is giving 2 first rounders for Wentz, period. We want to talk about maybe second rounders, as Ant right here said, right? I heard we offered 2 second rounders for Wentz. Obviously, they turned that down. And also the Colts, they want a player in return from what I understand for Wentz. Now, I haven't broke down Carson Wentz's season yet. I plan on doing that. All right. I plan on doing a film room on that, watching every snap Carson Wentz has, maybe multiple times, many of those snaps multiple times, just to see if what the rumors say that Frank Reich believes he could fix Wentz. And if I believe that he has stuff going on right now that is fixable, and we can see the guy Carson Wentz that we seen a couple years ago, then maybe he's worth it. I don't know if he's worth 2 first-round picks and a player. There's not many quarterbacks out there worth that. Desean Watson? Sure. All right. I could see that. Colts ain't getting Desean Watson, same division, right? Now, Carson Wentz, just off the top of my head from watching some of the games this past season, was not very accurate. Not accurate at all. I mean, even dump offs to running backs and stuff like that, he was not all that accurate. So what are we going to talk about here? I mean, I don't know. Hey, I want to appreciate everybody who's watching this and listening to this live on the podcast. By the way, I just want to plug this real quick. Man, if you watch this or listen to it later, please don't forget, hit the like button. Helps with the analytics. Make sure you give me a follow, as it says down here. And if you're listening on the podcast, I appreciate it. Share the podcast out to your social media. Also, share out where you're watching this on social media as well. Ant Rodgers does bring up a very valid point about the Eagles' offensive line, that the O-line the Eagles had was terrible to watch. And it was. And it's funny because they've got all pros on that offensive line, right? I mean, Travis Kelce's brother, Jason, that center, really, really good. Peters, really, really good. But they were hurt a lot of the year, okay? The Eagles last year was considered to have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. And then they're dealing with the injury thing. So I understand, but still, I don't know. It seemed like to me Carson Wentz was making a lot of bad decisions, even when he wasn't pressured. So the question remains, was he seeing ghosts? Much the same as one guy who we're going to talk about later, Sam Darnold, because he was making some pretty bad throws. He was jumping the gun a lot, running when he didn't need to, that kind of situation. He had weapons to throw to. Some of them were injured, but he had weapons. Harrison, do you think the Eagles will settle for a second rounders or keep Wentz until they get someone to offer first rounders for him? That's an interesting question. Let me bring that question up, actually. I don't know. I don't know. Now, the thing is Wentz's contract is not worth what his play has been the last year, okay? And that's a lot of money to give for a quarterback who you have to fix, okay? That's a lot of money for a quarterback that you're going to have to fix. And you don't know if you're going to fix him. So it's kind of like jumping into the boat going, you know what? We're going to give Jacoby Brissett $25 million. Hope like heck he plays very well, right? That's kind of the situation that you're doing with Carson Wentz. You don't know if he's going to be that good. So I don't know if he's worth that trade. I don't know if he's worth 2 second rounders. That'd be the most I would offer for Wentz. I would never go higher than 2 second rounders. If they want a player, I want a player as well, okay? Give me a player that I feel would help me on my team. Obviously, they're not going to give up their receivers. They might give up a Zach Ertz. They might give up an offensive lineman. If it's an offensive lineman, you better make sure it's a tackle because that's what the Colts need. We don't need guards. We got really good guards. We got good centers. We need tackles, okay? Ooh, good question. J. Will 501. Do we end up trading for Wentz or trade for Orlando Brown? Now, that's interesting to me. Now, this is about quarterbacks. But a great offensive line can make an average quarterback look really, really, really good because if you put an average quarterback behind an O-line where he can't be touched, he's got all day to make a decision. You and I could be out back there behind that offensive line of the Colts that the Colts had the last couple of years and be able to drop dimes, 10, 15, 20 yards and be able to efficiently. Now, I'm not saying that we'd be doing it on a consistent basis, obviously, but we'd be able to do that occasionally until the pressure gets down on us and we get lit up. I mean, good Lord, I would not want to be hit by some of those linebackers and defensive linemen. I don't know about you. But I like the Orlando Brown trade. He'll be cheap for a year, but I don't know. I think they'd want a lot for him. I really do. And then you're going to end up having to re-sign him. He's going to want a lot of money after next year. So I That's kind of scary because you've already signed your center to monster money. You know you're going to have to sign Kelly to, or not Kelly. We already just talked about him. Nelson to huge money. Probably the most any guard has ever been paid in the history of the NFL. And then you're going to have to drop money, obviously, on Smith out there at right tackle. And the Colts will spend more money on their offensive line than any other team in NFL history. Even the Dallas Cowboys. I expect the Colts to spend more money on their offensive line than what the Dallas Cowboys did. And that's good. That could legitimately hurt the Colts long term. But you can't let guys of that kind of quality walk. Now the question is, does Carson Wentz become better with an offensive line in front of him? Like I said, I still need to look at that film. I don't know. But yeah, I am not a proponent of Carson Wentz. I really ain't. From what I've seen, even when he's had protection, he's looked bad. Okay. Like last year, when he was out there playing, didn't look good to me. This year, when he's had protection, he was still making really bad decisions and throwing the ball very inaccurate, even to running backs and his, primary guy, Zach Ertz. So I personally, I don't want to go with Wentz. I think he's going to cost too much. His salary is going to be too high for someone who I just don't think, he's got a good high upside, but that's what you're spending for. But his low is down there low, right? He may not be able to be fixed. You going to take that kind of chance? Especially on a quarterback that just got a monster extension? I don't know. Now, next guy I want to bring up is a guy I am currently, while I was doing this stream, had to stop my film room on to set up for this stream. I am dead smack in the middle of that film room. I've already got about 6 plays. I'm in week 7 or 8 right now. And that's Sam Darnold. So expect the Sam Darnold film room to drop either later today or tomorrow. All right. So is Sam Darnold worth trading for? We're going to move on. Is Sam Darnold worth trading for? From what I'm seeing, the Jets, a lot of Jets fans are thinking first round pick. A late first round pick. And the Colts have a late first round pick, 21st pick overall in the NFL draft. I don't like giving a first round pick for a guy who's looked that bad. But at the same time, like I said, I'm like week 7 or 8, watched every snap of his last year. Okay. And I'm not going to give you a whole bunch because I want you to watch the film room, obviously. I think Sam Darnold can be fixed so far. Now, I haven't seen the second half of the season for him yet, but I think his problem legitimately was the fact that he had a worse offensive line, maybe the worst offensive line in football. Plus, he didn't have his 2 top receivers, Perryman and Crowder. They missed half the season. There were games where Chris Hogan was his primary wide receiver. Okay. Plus a bad offensive line and a running game that was headlined. Love Frank Gore, but come on. I think we could get Sam Darnold for a second. A single second. And I think he's worth a second so far that I have been watching his gameplay. Like I said, I'm not going to say why completely, but the man can scramble. He does have some pretty good arm talent. There's question marks on his decision making and his consistency. And I'll get more into that in my film room. Okay. Those are his question marks: consistency and Yeah. But the man can scramble. And I know a lot of Colts fans want that. I mean, Wentz can scramble too. And he's got a heck of an arm talent. The man can throw the football anywhere on the field. Hold on, let me see what we got here. That's a good one here. Brandon here says Denver might take a chance on Carson Wentz because most of their players are on rookie contracts. They may. Now, I don't know. I know that San Francisco's out there looking for an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe they go after Wentz as well. Right? Chicago might go after Wentz. They obviously like Nick Foles. They like the idea of what happened in Philadelphia when they went to the Super Bowl. Maybe they go after Wentz. I don't know. Ant says he thinks we can get Darnold for a 3rd and 4th. I'd rather drop a second than give a 3rd and a 4th, personally, my opinion. Or a 2nd and a 7th. I'd even go that as far as that. If they want 2 picks, fine, a 2nd and a 7th. I don't like giving up a 3rd and a 4th because that is the meat and potatoes where now Chris Ballard from 2nd to 4th round picks is a freaking master. So I want to give up the least amount of picks in that general area as I can. So if I could give a 2nd and a 7th over a 3rd and a 4th, I'd rather do that because that still gives him more firepower in that mid-range as opposed to dropping a 3rd and a 4th. I hopefully people here understand what I'm talking about. Okay, Jay Will says, is there any validity to Andrew Luck coming back? No, he's not. Jim Irsay came out right after that whole tweet thing and said that was fake, and unfortunately, that is not going down. None of that happened. So just put that to rest. I've said that on earlier streams. I'll just let you know that up front. Sam Darnold. You know the Jets have a high pick. They're probably going to get someone like Fields, right? Most likely in the draft. They could legitimately trade that pick and then maybe another pick or a player. You know, what scares me legitimately is if the Jets trade their pick and another pick for Desean Watson, but then you'd end up with Justin Fields or another quarterback in Houston. Now, I don't think any quarterback in this draft, save Trevor Lawrence, has the chance and capability of being the next Desean Watson. Justin Fields is not a Desean Watson. I'm sorry. Now, granted, we're going to have to see, the next 4 years, but OSU quarterbacks are not really known for that. They're generally flops and busts in the NFL because of, I know people don't like that whole thought process, but I mean, it's the system that they play in. They're not, that system is not made up for quarterbacks to transverse into the NFL efficiently. And they're not ready for that. So, also, when you said about, contract for Luck, Jay Will, he still has 2 years on that contract. When he retired, that contract is put on a hold. So if he decides to come back, that contract comes back. All right. Even though it's been 2 years since he retired, just because he comes back doesn't mean, well, he's a free agent. No, that's not how contracts work. If you unretire, that contract then becomes back the way it is. So just let you know. That's why the Patriots, and Gronkowski, maybe you heard that situation. So I like the Sam Darnold the reason why I like Sam Darnold for a second and maybe a seventh is the simple fact that you're not really given a whole lot. I mean, a second round pick is not a super high amount to give. He's still on his rookie deal, right? So he's cheap. And he has very high upside. Yes, he has, just like Wentz, very low downside and a high upside. But he's a whole heck of a lot cheaper, which means you'll be able to spend your money on other places. You'll be able to go get your left tackle. You'll be able to re-sign players that you want to re-sign or extend players that you need to extend. If you get Sam Darnold, you are limiting yourself a whole lot if you go get Carson Wentz because you're dropping a chunk of money on him. So there is upside to that. Now, the problem with Darnold and Wentz, because they both have very low floors currently, is if you get either one of them, I think you need to go out and get a proven veteran quarterback just in case Eason and that person that you went and traded for or got in free agency is not ready to start week one. You know, you may need to go out and get a Ryan Fitzpatrick or someone or Alex Smith or something like that. You know, a proven quarterback in the NFL that's played on multiple teams that you know could walk in on any team in the NFL and win you games and not lose games for you. So I like the idea of getting a quarterback, a young quarterback to fight with Eason for the starting position. But I don't like just leaving it at that either. Heck, you could even go get now the problem here is if you do that, don't expect the Colts to go draft a quarterback. I would not if they trade for a quarterback and then get a veteran on the side, that's 3 quarterbacks for the roster. Don't expect them to spend a draft pick to get one. No team keeps 4 quarterbacks on their roster. None. Just saying. Not unless you got like 2 quarterbacks injured already, you know. That'd be the only situation. But they don't start the season that way when they're healthy. Yeah, you're right. Jay Will makes a good point here. As I said, you know, USC, OSU, Bama, their quarterbacks benefit from their rosters around them. Now, USC quarterbacks and Bama, they're more NFL-style offenses as well, though. So, yes, they benefit massively from the rosters that's around them. But at the same time, they're prepared to get into the NFL because that's the style, the scheme that they run. Whereas OSU doesn't run that type of scheme. And yes, I think Fitzmagic is an option. Now, he's not a long-term option. I think he's a bridge quarterback, right? I think Fitzmagic's a guy that you get once you have a couple young guys on your team that you think can be long-term answers, but he's not someone that you want to sign for a 5-year deal, you know. But, I mean, look at how Fitzpatrick has played the last couple seasons in Miami, on Miami. And he's won a lot of games and played some pretty impressive plays. The Colts have got a very good roster. I think their receiving room is very underrated, even by Colts fans. All right. Even if T.Y. Hilton does not come back, I still like Michael Pittman as the number 1. I still like Zach Pascal as the number 2. I think if Paris Campbell could freaking stay healthy, he'd be one of the most dangerous guys in the NFL. All right. So that's 3 good receivers. And then we got some young studs in the background that play a lot of special teams that could really come into form. Also, again, just like every year, The draft is full of wide receivers out there. You can always draft one. I don't like, okay. Another good question, bringing back Jacoby for a year. For how much? I don't want to pay Jacoby Brissett $25 million. Okay? Obviously, Frank Reich and Chris Ballard don't want Jacoby Brissett. If they thought Jacoby Brissett was the answer moving forward, they would not have signed Phillip Rivers last year. They wouldn't have. So I don't expect, unless Jacoby Brissett sticks around as a backup for like $10 million or less. And I don't see that happening. I legitimately see Jacoby Brissett signing on another team to fight for a starting position. I could see him going to the Niners and fighting over there. I could see him going to New England, back to New England and fighting over there. I can see Jacoby with options. Better options than the Colts? Maybe, maybe not. But I think Jacoby will have more of a chance to be a starter on a different team, and he knows that. That's just my thoughts. I don't like Jacoby Brissett for $15 million. No. I said $10 million or less. Sorry, guys. I got to keep hydrated, man. The way I'm talking. Hit my camera. All right, guys, if you're liking this, don't forget, please smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed yet, and share this to your favorite social media with that little share button down here. All right? Little share button. You can send it to Twitter, Facebook, wherever. I'd really appreciate it. I'm relying on you guys, okay? Relying on you. I'm still on that road. Don't forget, check out my Patreon, okay? My Patreon is in the link down in the description of this video. And if you're listening to it on the podcast, check out my stuff on YouTube and Sportscaster. And if you look me up, man, you can find me, especially on Twitter, Colts_law. In my bio, I have my Patreon link right there. Now, I don't know who I want outside of those. There's some quarterbacks out there that are interesting. Like I said, I have that Sam Darnold video that I'm getting ready to drop either later today, tonight, or tomorrow. I'm about halfway through it. I'm going to have a lot of fun putting that down. But also, I'll probably do a Carson Wentz. If he's not traded by next week, I might make a Carson Wentz breakdown. I also, hey guys, I just want to say, I understand that this guy I'm about to say is a Patriots guy, but I do a lot of stuff with him as an outsider for I'm not a Patriots guy. Yeah, I'm a Colts guy. So they bring me in to talk so that, it's not all just fandom, fanboying. So I do a lot of stuff with DPN Sports, Ray Rout. You can check me out on his channel here, RAUTH, Ray Rout. Or you could type in DPN. I also have a lot of film rooms dropped on that. As a matter of fact, I think 10 o'clock this morning, Eastern Standard Time, he dropped my Allen Robinson film room. Okay? I did an Allen Robinson film room. So if you think the Colts need a wide receiver and you're really looking at Allen Robinson, who in my opinion will be the highest paid free agent wide receiver this year, go check out my film room on that. All right. I'm not asking you to go over there and subscribe to his channel, but you go check it out. And if you like it enough because I'm on there, great, then subscribe. But just saying. All right. Now, what other quarterbacks are we going to talk about? Right? Mariota, Carr, the two Raiders quarterbacks. Brian says, hanging out with Patriots fans, eh? Enjoy your Sam Adams. I met Ray Rout on Sportscaster when we were both employed for Sportscaster, and we were doing NFL analysis for the past a year now, right? And we got to know each other. And even though he's a Patriots fan, I'm a Colts fan, we get along. We have differences of opinions, but we get along okay. Yeah, and there's a lot of, I'm not on most of his live streams, but you could scroll over a lot of the clicks that he's got, his videos where, you know, it'll autoplay a little bit and you'll be able to see if I'm there or if I'm not. And all of his film rooms are mine. All of them. He don't do film rooms. So, but just FYI, for those of you that don't know, Sportscaster will be coming to an end at the end of February. I will be no longer employed by Sportscaster because they're moving to a different type of platform and they won't be doing NFL coverage anymore. So I will be unemployed and I'll be looking for work, and I need to be pushing my podcast and my YouTube and things of that nature, try to help get some income coming in. So any help you guys give me to keep me going, because it takes money to continue doing stuff like this. I mean, I got to have internet. I got to pay my bills and stuff, right? So any help from you guys, just sharing it out would be much appreciated, okay? Because I need at least 1K subscribers on YouTube. I've got all the other stuff. My views and stuff are like 5 times higher than what's needed on YouTube. I just need that 1,000 subscribers. And I'm still like 200 shy. So I'd appreciate it a lot. So back to Carr or Mariota. 2 actual options that I don't know that the Indianapolis Colts fans are giving honest opinions about. They haven't really given a lot of thought. Now, I get that we all know Mariota. He's the Titans quarterback before Ryan Tannehill came in and just lit up the NFL the last season and a half over there in Tennessee. And he didn't look all that good. He was dealing with injuries. I don't like the Mariota option just for the simple fact that we have seen him with the damaged elbow, that nerve in his elbow. He's hit it a couple times, put him out. But, and because he's had multiple injuries to that elbow, one bad hit on it could take him out of the NFL permanently. So I don't want damaged goods. Not physically damaged, that could be permanent damage. Don't want that. So we move on to Carr. And we as Colts fans, the last couple years have seen Carr tear our defensive secondary apart multiple times. Multiple times. Now, this past season, we beat him. Why? Ground game. Carr still threw pretty decent against us, though. Ooh, Ant, I'll get to that, Ant, in just a moment. I like Derek Carr as a quarterback. I think Derek Carr with protection in a run game is a very solid option. I don't know how much money I'd want to spend. I don't want to give him 30 mil. I don't know if I want to give him 25. Let's go look at Derek Carr's current contract right now. All right. I'm not 100% sure what it is. And I really need to know if I'm on board trying to pay the kind of money that the Raiders are already paying him. He is signed for this year and next year. Pretty good. Oh, my. He legitimately can be traded right now by the Raiders, and they would only take a $2.5 million cap hit. And he's just under $2 million for this year and next, or $20 million for this year and next year. That is worthy of Derek Carr. around $20 million. You'll have him for 2 years. I think he's worth that. That's low-end starting quarterback. Real JT, thanks for joining over here on Sportscaster. Appreciate you being here. Don't forget, smash that like button for me and share the stream if you would. So, yes, I think Derek Carr, I like how he plays. There's a couple things about his gameplay that worries me a little bit. But for just under $20 million a year, I think he's definitely an option. I just don't know what the Raiders would want in return for him. That's, again, another scary situation. Would they be wanting to get a first-round pick out of him? If they are, I don't know if I would give a first-round pick for Derek Carr. He's still young enough. I mean, he's just now going to be 30 this year. And quarterback, you can't look at quarterbacks like the rest of the NFL, okay? 30-year-old quarterbacks are in their prime, okay? 30 to 40. Most quarterbacks who are good pocket quarterbacks can last until until they hit 40. We've seen that majority of the time. Now, during that period, you'll start to see some arm strength depreciation, but the wisdom of being a starting quarterback for that long comes into play, being able to read defenses and get your offense in the right position to make plays against the defense that you're seeing, being able to look off safeties, all kinds of stuff that a veteran quarterback of, 8+ years can do. But now I'm going to move on because Ant brings up, what about Josh Rosen? Josh Rosen's not an option right now. Josh Rosen was just signed by the San Francisco 49ers not long ago for a 1-year veteran minimum deal. Okay. Less than $1 million is like $800 and some thousand for a single year. And I don't think the Niners are going to let him go because that's cheap. And I think they have that same thought process of he wasn't given a fair shot. He was shoved out there. I agree, but I don't know if Rosen is broken over what has happened to him between the Cardinals and the Dolphins. Well, the way he was treated in those situations. Maybe San Francisco could sit him for a year and try to work out the problems. I wish Josh Rosen all the best. Okay, I really do. But I think the problem is Rosen was started too soon. All right, he put out there in 20 with the Cardinals. He was thrown out there with no offensive line, no real help at all. His best option was a really old Larry Fitzgerald. And, he couldn't handle the pressure because he couldn't do it. He's one of those quarterbacks that needed to sit and learn under a veteran quarterback, and the Cardinals didn't do that. And then he was traded to the Miami, and the same situation happened, So he was put in two very similar situations back to back. Give this man some time to learn under a veteran quarterback. I think he's got a shot. I really do. You go back on contract next week? Awesome. I'm still, like I said, I'm still employed until the end of the month. And then I'll be relying on all of this. And my wife's going to let me try. So that's cool. Guys, don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and share this to your social media. Appreciate that very, very, very much. Hey, also, if you guys are part of any kind of Indianapolis Colts groups, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, just random internet groups or something, I'm only part of one. I don't have a lot of Colts fans that I sit and talk with, okay? I'm going to go ahead and shout out the group, the internet group that I am part of, and that's coltsfreaks.com. That's Colts, COLTS, FREAKS.com. It's an Indianapolis Colts fan forum. You might go check it out if you haven't already. But if you have any other kind of Colts places where people like to talk, maybe share their stuff, like if, like me, I'll be more than happy to sit and jibber jabber with Colts fans and maybe share some of my content and stuff. Drop that in the comments after the stream. I'd really, really appreciate it. Yes, I feel the same way about Carr being okay with me for a fair price. And like I said, he's under 20 mil, so he's a fair price, I think. Okay. Jay Will. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of Colts fans are going to fight you on this, but I'm not going to. And I'll explain why. Jay Will says, I would like to see you guys with Jameis Winston. With that running game that the Colts have, the turnovers won't be that big of an issue because he never had a running game in Tampa. Now, it's not just the running game, Jay Will. It's the fact that Frank Reich, his scheme is completely opposite of Bruce Arians' air it out offense. All right. Frank Reich likes the get the ball out of your hands quickly, high completion percentages, high chance of getting short yardage, do yak yards rather than chunk yards down the field. So I think that would actually benefit Jameis Winston. But I have a feeling that Jameis Winston will end up not being a Colt. I think he'll end up still staying with the Saints because, honestly, they might be saying, Sean Payton might be saying that he wants Taysom Hill for the future, but come on. I love Taysom. Taysom Hill is my favorite player in the NFL just because of what he could do in so many different positions and dynamite player, but he's not a great quarterback. And if Drew Brees retires, whether it's this year or next year, you're going to need someone besides Taysom Hill back there. Wicked football cards. I already talked about Sam Darnold, my guy. You're a little late. I'm sorry, but I appreciate you being here. I will reiterate that I do like Sam Darnold. I am doing the film room right now. I actually stopped in the middle of doing my film room. I got to about week 8, like I said, halfway through the season before I had to set up this stream. So it'll be out either tonight or tomorrow. And so far, I like what I see from Sam Darnold, and I think every problem he had at the Jets is a situation that would not be an issue with the Colts because he wouldn't be put in those types of situations. Exactly. And he had a lot less. No, he had 20 picks even, not 20 plus. But fact of the matter remains, Jay, is that's exactly it. It's the scheme, okay? The Colts scheme is perfect. I hope. Wicked Football Car says, do you think we bring Marlon Mack back? I would love to see him back. I think the Colts have a better shot at bringing Mack back than they do someone like Malik Hooker because I think that Marlon Mack's Achilles injury will shy a lot of teams away from him, and he might be able to sign a prove-it deal to show that he's still good and capable with the Indianapolis Colts next season for a much smaller contract but a one-year deal. Is it true that Ballard doesn't like Sam Darnold? Well, Ballard has inquired about Sam Darnold. He has called the Jets and talked to them about a trade. If he doesn't like him, would he make the option? I don't know. I don't think I would. If I didn't like somebody, I wouldn't inquire about him. So, just saying, I think that that's a situation that I think that Frank Reich would be very good with Sam Darnold. From what I'm seeing so far, Sam Darnold, when not under pressure, sitting in a pocket, is incredibly accurate and dangerous. It's when he gets under pressure that I'm seeing problems. And I'll get more in depth into that in the film room. Other quarterbacks out there, here tell Jimmy Garoppolo. You know, what's my thoughts on Jimmy Garoppolo? I'll tell you what, I don't like Jimmy Garoppolo. I told this to Ray Rout when he was like, should the Patriots go get Jimmy Garoppolo back? I was like, well, no, I don't like Jimmy Garoppolo. Any pass that he has past 15 yards drops significantly in accuracy. He's fine if you're throwing short yardage, but his accuracy deep is awful. We all seen it in the Super Bowl. And that's something that we watched all year last year when he was able to be playing. Now, granted, he didn't play all season because of injuries, but still. I seriously, I don't like Garoppolo because you got to have a deep threat quarterback, a quarterback that can at least throw semi-accurately deep to help take pressure off the offense. Because if you don't have at least the threat of a deep game, then the defense will crowd that line of scrimmage. It'll make it more difficult to throw into tight coverage because the defense will be crushed up. Plus, they're crushed up. It's going to be harder to run the football. So you need at least the threat of a deep pass. And with Jimmy Garoppolo on the team, you're not going to have that. Do you agree with Frank Reich being super aggressive the way he was against the Bills? Yes. Now, I know you're talking about that 4th and goal. At that point in time, I get why he did it. I get why he did that. Rather than kicking the field goal, you either get the touchdown or you're going to turn the ball over. You're going to give the ball over right back, but they have to basically run the entire field. I get why he did it. But in that situation, I would have just put points on the board because it was still early. But I understand Buffalo's a high-powered offense. And he thought, I need to put as many points on the board as I possibly can. Well, at that point in time, get the guaranteed points and keep it a close game. That's my thought process. But I agree. I like when Frank Reich is aggressive. He just has to pick and choose when being aggressive is smarter than not. Okay? I think the defense, we have so many free agent starters on defense, it's not funny. I would love to re-sign some of these guys like Anthony Walker, Carey, Rhodes, Autry. You know, maybe getting I'd like to spend our first round pick on a specific defensive end. I've said it before. I'm going to drop a film room on him at another point, but it would take our first round pick to get him. Is there any hope for getting Russell Wilson? The Seattle Seahawks are not going to trade Russell Wilson. It's not the same. Russell's upset, yes, with the offensive line that he's had since he's been in Seattle. But he has not come out and said, I want traded now or else. I haven't seen that. Yes, he's upset with the offensive line. Who wouldn't be? That's obvious. And would I like Russell Wilson on the Colts? I'd be a dumbass if I didn't want him on the Colts. He's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Will we get him? No, because the Seattle Seahawks ain't going to trade him. Just saying. Oh, here we are. Do I wish we got Brady instead of Rivers? No. No, I don't. I said this earlier, and I pissed off a lot of Patriots fans because I said this on Ray Route stream. I said Ryan Fitzpatrick could have won the Super Bowl with that Bucs team against that Chiefs team. And he absolutely could. All he had to do was score 10 points to win the Super Bowl. Think about that. Look at the team on defense. They had one of the best defenses. They got one of the best front sevens in football. I mean, them and the Colts last year were really good front sevens, right? They had a great front seven defense. They had an aggressive secondary, and their offensive weaponry was off the charts with veterans. Ryan Fitzpatrick could have beat the Kansas City Chiefs with that Tampa Bay. All he had to do was get 10 points. No, I liked Rivers for the Colts. I really did. I thought it was the right move getting Rivers for the Colts last season. But, I thought the Colts should have beat Buffalo. They outplayed Buffalo. It is what it is. I'm not upset about the season. I thought the Colts had a pretty good season. I thought that a lot of things showed up. But no, Tom Brady's the GOAT because of circumstance and because of his accomplishments. That's not taking away from him being a quarterback, great quarterback. But circumstance really helps. If Tom Brady was on the Detroit Lions last year, would Detroit have won the Super Bowl? If you say yes, you are delusional as shit. All right? Just saying. Okay? So there's circumstance to go with being a good player. All I'm saying. And I'm not saying that because I hate Brady. I'm just saying that with simple facts. It's just the truth. Wicked Football Car says if Mac comes back, who would start? It would be Jonathan Taylor. But Marlon Mack would be that change-up guy. The reason why Jonathan Taylor would be the starter is because he's healthy. Marlon Mack coming off of an Achilles injury. All right? It's that whole similar, they would ease Mack back in. But Jonathan Taylor, second half of the season, averaged 6.2 yards a carry in the second half of the season. That's ridiculous. Of course, he'd be the number one guy. But Marlon Mack would be nasty as a change of pace back, being able to catch footballs out of the backfield, that kind of, be great. It'd be great. Colton Gamble, thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate you being here. Don't forget, smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and share the stream if you don't mind. And his question is, what quarterback do you think we get? Don't know yet. I'll be honest with you. Right now, I'm leaning towards Sam Darnold. I am. I think the Colts end up getting Sam Darnold over Wentz, over Garoppolo, over Carr, over Mariota, over most of your other guys out there. Ted Ells, I just want a quarterback. This is very exhausting. It's been less than a week after the Super Bowl, guy. You're exhausted after 5 days? 5 days after the NFL finished out? Really? 5 days after the season ended? You got a long wait, my guy, because free agency don't even start for another month. So things ain't going down for another month. And then we got 2 months before the draft starts. So, I mean, buckle up, my guy. It's a long road. And you're going to hear a lot of stuff. A lot of people are out there. And because the Colts are in need of a quarterback, Everybody and their mother is going to be linked to the Indianapolis Colts. Okay? Everybody. Everybody from Carson Wentz to the Lions will trade Jared Goff to the Colts just to get out, to get more picks, to add on to the more picks that they have. I promise you, you'll see that narrative somewhere. The Colts trade away their future for the next 4 years to Jacksonville to get Lawrence. You'll probably see an article like that. Come on. Okay, let me see what we got here. And it says we could always just keep building in the draft and sign our own, and that's what Ballard does. With that part right there, he says, do you think that Walker will take a Pierre Desir type deal? This is Anthony Walker's chance to make serious money. Okay, he was like a 5th round pick. He didn't make no money. I'm telling you, Anthony Walker's gonna push over $10 million a year as a middle linebacker, and there's a chance he might end up being on some good teams. I don't think we'll see Anthony Walker back as a Colt. It'll suck. I want him back. I don't think we will, because I don't think we can afford him, because we need to get another cornerback, whether it be Xavier Rhodes or somebody else. We need to get 2 defensive ends, because both of our defensive ends, Autry and Houston, are also free agents. It's a horrible, horrible mess, okay? I don't think that we can afford Anthony Walker. Love to have him back. Don't think we can afford it. Colts Law, we need to get you more people. My podcast rules. Thanks, Jason David. Appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. So if you guys can, just I'll get more people with me to talk. I had somebody last week, Sam Sinclair. I was thinking about maybe getting a hold of BTJ and seeing if one of them guys want to come over on my stream and talk, whether it be Derek or Cody. Maybe just kind of get another fresh Colts perspective on things. Maybe I'll do that next week, All right, main Colts Law. Who do I want like more? Like I've said before, I would prefer Darnold over Wentz at this point. I think it's more. I think both have the same high, both have the same floor, but one's going to cost a lot more than the other. And Wentz will cost more than Darnold. So I will take the cheaper end of the deal and go with Darnold more than I would Wentz. Need to get Chris Ballard in here. Yeah, someone give me Chris Ballard's phone number. Him and I need to have a discussion about stuff. Now, I would love to have Chris Ballard on my podcast. Every Colts podcast would like to have Chris Ballard on their podcast, but I'm realistic. I don't expect that to happen. I will get hold of the Colts and see if there's some guys out there that want to come on, but I have a hard time. For some reason, I keep getting shot down. All right. I keep getting shot down by the Colts. By the guy that sets up interviews. And that sucks. Because I've asked for interviews multiple times. And not even star players, right? Even secondary guys, third stringers, second stringers, position coaches. I've never asked for a major name on the Colts, but I keep getting shot down. I just think I'm not quite big enough. And that means you guys can help me by helping me get bigger by sharing this out to your social media and telling people, hey, come to his YouTube channel and subscribe. Or go check out his podcast and subscribe out there on iTunes or Spotify or whatnot. So I'd really appreciate that. Help me out. Guys, this was a great podcast. I've been live for an hour, and as you guys know, that is my limit that I run for a podcast, at least on Fridays at 5 p.m. Don't forget, I will be here every Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for my podcasts. Even when I'm done with Sportscaster, I will still be running this. I'll be dropping stuff on the daily when I can. Don't forget my Sam Darnold video. I'm in the middle of doing it right now. It will be out either today or tomorrow morning, just whenever I get it finished and edited out. So love you all. Appreciate you being here. It's been great talking with you. As usual, until next time, have a good one, guys. Have a good one.